Have you ever felt like something just isn't right? Like you're being deceived, manipulated, or misled? In a world filled with half-truths, misinformation, and emotional distractions, the ancient Stoics had a way of cutting through the noise. They believed that true wisdom comes from seeing through illusions and recognizing the tactics used to distort reality. In this video, we'll uncover the key signs that reveal when you're being lied to, how Stoic philosophy can help you see the truth, and how to develop the mindset of a critical thinker. By the end, you'll have the tools to navigate life with clarity, reason, and resilience. Stay tuned, and let's dive into the wisdom of the Stoics. Number 1. Emotional manipulation instead of reason. In today's world, emotional manipulation has become a powerful tool, often overshadowing reason and logic in arguments, politics, relationships, and media. Instead of presenting factual evidence and well-reasoned arguments, many individuals and institutions rely on emotions such as fear, guilt, shame, or sympathy to control others and influence decisions. This tactic is particularly effective because emotions can override rational thought, leading people to act impulsively rather than critically analyzing a situation. When someone uses guilt to make another person feel responsible for their emotions or choices, they are engaging in manipulation rather than genuine persuasion. Similarly, fear is often used in marketing and politics to push an agenda, convincing people that they must act immediately or face dire consequences. By framing an issue emotionally, rather than logically, manipulators ensure that their audience reacts instinctively instead of thinking independently. One of the most common examples of emotional manipulation can be found in personal relationships. A controlling partner, for instance, may use gaslighting to distort reality, making their significant other doubt their own perceptions. They might say things like, "You're overreacting," or "You're imagining things," to make their victim question their own judgment. This not only weakens the victim's confidence, but also makes them more susceptible to further manipulation. In family dynamics, parents or relatives might use guilt to pressure someone into compliance. Phrases such as, "After all I've done for you, how could you do this to me?" exploit emotions rather than presenting reasonable arguments about the situation at hand. The goal is not to foster open discussion, but to coerce submission through emotional weight. Beyond personal relationships, emotional manipulation is a powerful tool in politics and media. Politicians and advertisers understand that people are more likely to be influenced by strong emotional appeals than by complex reasoning. Political campaigns frequently use fear-mongering tactics, portraying opponents as threats to security, values, or prosperity. By appealing to fear, they bypass the need for policy-based discussions, instead focusing on creating an emotional divide among voters. Similarly, advertisements often rely on emotional appeal rather than product quality or logic. Charity organizations, for example, use images of suffering children to stir sympathy and encourage donations without necessarily explaining how the funds will be used. While the cause may be noble, the tactic itself bypasses rational scrutiny by capitalizing on emotional vulnerability. The rise of social media has amplified emotional manipulation, making it easier than ever to spread misinformation and provoke knee-jerk reactions. Outrage culture thrives on emotional extremes, where people are encouraged to react instantly to headlines or viral posts without verifying the truth. Emotional triggers such as anger, shock, or sadness drive engagement, which in turn fuels more manipulation. This environment rewards sensationalism over rational debate, creating a cycle in which emotional manipulation dominates discourse. Instead of encouraging critical thinking, many influencers, media outlets, and public figures prioritize emotional responses to maintain influence and control. Recognizing emotional manipulation is the first step toward resisting it. When confronted with an emotionally charged argument, it's important to pause and ask whether the argument is supported by facts or if it relies solely on emotions to persuade. Logical reasoning, skepticism, and independent research can help individuals separate manipulation from genuine persuasion. Healthy relationships, whether personal, professional, or political, should be based on mutual respect and rational discussion rather than coercion through emotional tactics. While emotions are a fundamental part of human experience, they should not be exploited to suppress independent thought. By promoting reason over manipulation, society can foster more meaningful, honest, and informed discussions, ultimately leading to better decisions and stronger relationships. Number 2. Overcomplicated or vague explanations. In today's world of communication, clarity is key. However, many people fall into the trap of providing overcomplicated or vague explanations, often leaving their audience confused rather than informed. This problem occurs in various settings: academic lectures, business meetings, technical discussions, and even everyday conversations. Whether due to excessive jargon, unnecessary complexity, or a lack of clear structure, convoluted explanations can hinder understanding and lead to frustration. Instead of conveying knowledge effectively, such explanations create barriers, making simple concepts seem more difficult than they actually are. While some individuals may complicate their explanations unintentionally, others do so to appear more knowledgeable or authoritative. Regardless of the reason, the result is the same. The message gets lost, and the audience struggles to grasp the intended meaning. One of the main causes of overcomplicated explanations is the excessive use of technical jargon. While specialized terminology is necessary in certain fields, it becomes a problem when the audience is unfamiliar with the terms being used. For example, a doctor explaining a medical condition using complex scientific terms without simplifying them for the patient only creates confusion. The same issue arises in technology, law, or finance when professionals speak in their industry's language without considering their audience's level of understanding. A simple idea, when wrapped in layers of obscure vocabulary, becomes inaccessible to those who need the information the most. Effective communication requires speakers to assess their audience and adjust their language accordingly, using simple and relatable terms whenever possible. Another reason explanations become overly complicated is an obsession with detail. While details are important, too much information at once can overwhelm the listener. For instance, imagine asking someone for directions and receiving an explanation that includes historical facts about the street names, unnecessary landmarks, and personal anecdotes. Instead of helping, this excess information makes it harder to focus on what truly matters. Good explanations prioritize essential details and follow a logical sequence, ensuring the audience receives the core message without distractions. Simplicity and structure are key elements of effective communication. Similarly, vague explanations create just as many problems. Instead of overloading a statement with too much detail, vague explanations lack specificity, leaving the listener uncertain about what is being said. This often happens in professional settings where someone might say, "We need to improve our approach," without clarifying how or in what way. A student struggling with a subject might receive feedback like, "You need to work harder," without specific guidance on what areas need improvement. In both cases, the lack of precise information prevents real progress. A clear explanation should include specific details, examples, and actionable steps that help the listener understand what needs to be done. One of the most frustrating aspects of overcomplicated or vague explanations is their impact on productivity. In workplaces, unclear communication can lead to misunderstandings, mistakes, and wasted time. Employees who receive unclear instructions may struggle to complete tasks correctly, leading to frustration and inefficiency. Similarly, students who receive complicated or vague academic explanations may find it difficult to grasp concepts, leading to poor performance. Clear communication is essential for progress, learning, and effective teamwork. Improving communication requires intentional effort. First, speakers should simplify their language without oversimplifying the message. This means using common words instead of industry jargon when speaking to a general audience. Second, explanations should be structured logically, following a step-by-step approach that allows the listener to follow along easily. Third, providing examples can make abstract concepts more relatable and easier to understand. Finally, it's important to check for understanding. Encouraging questions and seeking feedback helps ensure that the message has been received correctly. In conclusion, overcomplicated or vague explanations create unnecessary obstacles in communication. Whether caused by excessive jargon, too much detail, or a lack of specificity, these issues make it difficult for audiences to understand the intended message. Effective communication requires clarity, structure, and an awareness of the listener's needs. By prioritizing simplicity and precision, speakers can ensure that their messages are both accessible and impactful, leading to better understanding, improved productivity, and more meaningful interactions. Number 3. Appealing to authority. Without evidence. Have you ever heard someone say, "Well, Dr. So-and-so said it, so it must be true"? Or perhaps you've encountered arguments where people cite a famous figure's opinion as the final word on a subject? If so, you've witnessed an appeal to authority, a common logical fallacy where someone uses an authority figure's opinion as proof of a claim, even when there is no supporting evidence. Appealing to authority can sometimes be legitimate. After all, experts spend years acquiring knowledge and experience in their fields, so their insights often carry weight. However, the fallacy occurs when an authority is cited without supporting evidence, or when the authority lacks expertise in the relevant field. This can mislead people into accepting claims that may be incorrect or unproven. Consider this example. A celebrity endorses a particular diet, claiming it leads to rapid weight loss and improved health. They may have a large following and a persuasive voice, but unless they provide scientific studies or credible research to support their claim, their authority alone doesn't validate the diet's effectiveness. Similarly, a famous scientist in physics might have valuable insights into the laws of motion, but that doesn't mean their views on nutrition or politics are automatically correct. The appeal to authority fallacy becomes especially problematic when people trust authority figures over empirical evidence. For instance, in history, various leaders and influential figures have made sweeping claims that, despite lacking evidence, were widely accepted because of their status. This has led to misinformation, flawed policies, and even public harm. Another issue arises when people misinterpret expertise. For example, just because a well-known economist supports a specific political policy, it doesn't mean that the policy is flawless. Without an in-depth analysis of data and logic, relying solely on an authority figure's endorsement can lead to misguided decisions. So how do we avoid this fallacy? First, always ask for evidence. Does the claim come with supporting data, scientific research, or logical reasoning? Second, check whether the cited authority is an expert in the relevant field. Someone may be highly skilled in one area, but lack expertise in another. Third, consider whether there is consensus among experts in that field. If one scientist claims something radical that contradicts the majority of research, their status alone isn't enough to prove their claim. It's essential to foster critical thinking, rather than blindly accepting information based on who says it. When we focus on evidence and reasoning, rather than reputation, we make more informed, rational decisions. So next time you hear someone say, "A famous person said so, therefore it must be true," take a step back and ask, where's the proof? Number 4, promises that sound too good to be true. Have you ever come across a promise that just seemed too good to be true? Maybe it was an ad claiming you could make thousands of dollars overnight with no effort, a diet pill that guarantees instant weight loss, or a politician vowing to solve all economic problems in a matter of months. These kinds of promises are everywhere, and while they might sound tempting, they often come with hidden catches or are outright scams. In today's video, we're going to explore why people fall for these promises, the psychology behind them, and how you can protect yourself from being deceived. Humans have an inherent desire for quick fixes. We want instant gratification, whether it's for money, success, health, or happiness. That's why marketing tactics that prey on these desires are so effective. Scammers and dishonest advertisers know that if they can make something sound easy and effortless, they'll grab people's attention. Think about those infomercials that claim you can lose weight while eating whatever you want, or those get-rich-quick schemes that assure you'll become a millionaire in weeks. These offers sound enticing because they promise something extraordinary with minimal effort. The truth is, if something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Consider pyramid schemes, which lure people in with the promise of massive financial returns for very little work. At first, it may look like people are making money, but eventually the entire system collapses, leaving the majority with nothing. The same applies to miracle health cures that claim to fix all ailments instantly but often have no scientific backing. Many times, these products and services rely on persuasive testimonials, exaggerated claims, and even manipulated images to make them seem legitimate. But why do people keep falling for these promises? The answer lies in psychology. One major factor is hope. People want to believe that an easy solution exists. Another reason is social proof. If they see others claiming it worked for them, they are more likely to trust it. Scammers also create a sense of urgency, telling people that they have to act fast before they miss out. This pressure can make people ignore their better judgment and jump into something they might regret later. One famous example of deceptive promises was the Fire Festival, a luxurious music festival that promised high-end accommodations, gourmet meals, and world-class entertainment. People paid thousands of dollars for tickets only to arrive at the site and find disaster. No food, no proper shelter, and a completely mismanaged event. The hype was created through social media influencers and slick marketing, but in the end it was nothing but a fraudulent dream. So how can you protect yourself from falling into these traps? First, always do your research. If a company, product, or investment opportunity makes big claims, look for independent reviews, scientific evidence, or proof of legitimacy. Second, be wary of urgency tactics. If someone is pressuring you to make a decision quickly, that's often a red flag. Third, trust your instincts. If something feels off, it's better to step back and think before committing. And finally, remember that real success, whether in health, wealth, or personal growth, takes time and effort. At the end of the day, the world is full of grand promises, but not all of them are genuine. By staying skeptical, asking questions, and doing your due diligence, you can avoid falling for misleading claims. If you've ever encountered a promise that sounded too good to be true, share your experience in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more eye-opening content. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay informed and stay safe. Number 5. Contradictions. Between words and actions. There is an old saying, actions speak louder than words. Yet in a world filled with promises, declarations, and proclamations, how often do we find that words fail to align with reality? People claim to be kind, yet act with cruelty, preach honesty, yet indulge in deception, or promise change, yet repeat the same mistakes. This contradiction between words and actions is not just a flaw of individuals, but a reflection of the human condition itself. Imagine a politician standing on a podium, passionately delivering a speech about integrity, fairness, and justice. The audience listens, nodding in agreement, inspired by the eloquence and confidence in his voice. Yet behind the scenes, the same politician is embroiled in corruption, making deals that betray the very values he so ardently proclaims. The words are powerful, persuasive even, but they are meaningless when actions tell a different story. This phenomenon is not limited to politics. Consider friendships and relationships. A friend may claim to be loyal, always emphasizing how much they care, but when the moment comes to prove their loyalty, they disappear. A partner may declare love, promising unwavering support, yet their actions reveal neglect, dishonesty, or indifference. The disparity between what is said and what is done can be deeply painful, leaving scars that words alone can never heal. Even in everyday life, contradictions are everywhere. A company may boast about valuing its employees, promoting a culture of inclusivity and respect. Yet, behind closed doors, workers face exploitation, unfair treatment, and a toxic work environment. A leader may promise transparency, but shroud their actions in secrecy. A person may claim to seek self-improvement, but refuse to take the necessary steps for change. Why do people contradict themselves in this way? Sometimes it is intentional deception, a deliberate attempt to manipulate others by saying what they want to hear. But more often, it is unconscious. People want to be seen as good, virtuous, or capable, so they adopt the language that aligns with these ideals, even when their actions do not. It is easy to say the right words. It is much harder to live by them. Self-deception also plays a role. Many people genuinely believe in the words they speak, but fail to recognize when their actions diverge. A person may believe they are kind, but ignore the moments they act selfishly. A leader may see themselves as just, even while making unfair decisions. The mind creates justifications, blinding us to our own contradictions. So, how do we bridge the gap between words and actions? The answer lies in accountability and self-awareness. Instead of making grand promises, we must focus on consistent action. Integrity is not about what we say, but about what we do when no one is watching. It requires reflection, honesty, and the willingness to acknowledge our flaws. Next time someone speaks grand words, observe their actions. Do they align? If not, those words mean nothing. And more importantly, let us turn that lens inward. Do our own actions reflect the values we claim to hold? Because in the end, it is not words that define us, but the choices we make, the deeds we perform, and the legacy we leave behind. Number 6, encouraging you to act impulsively. Have you ever felt the pull of an idea, a sudden urge to do something exciting, but then stopped yourself because you overthought it? What if I told you that sometimes the best decisions in life come from acting on impulse? We've been conditioned to believe that every step we take must be carefully planned, weighed, and analyzed. But what if hesitation is actually holding us back from experiencing the most thrilling and rewarding moments of our lives? Sometimes, you just have to go for it, without overthinking, without second-guessing, and without waiting for the perfect moment that may never come. Think about the most memorable experiences of your life. Chances are, they weren't the ones you meticulously planned out for weeks. They were the spontaneous road trips, the unexpected yes to an opportunity, or the split-second decision to step outside of your comfort zone. Impulsive actions have a way of leading us to adventures we never anticipated, relationships we never expected, and personal growth that wouldn't have happened if we had waited until we felt ready. The truth is, you're never truly ready. Life doesn't come with a perfect script or a roadmap that guarantees success. But when you act on impulse, you tap into something raw, something authentic, something that reminds you that you are alive. Of course, society warns us about being too impulsive, associating it with recklessness and regret. But what about the regret of inaction? The regret of never saying what you truly felt, never chasing the dream you tucked away for someday, or never taking that leap of faith? We often talk about missed opportunities, but we rarely acknowledge that hesitation is the real culprit. Fear masquerades as logic, convincing us to wait, to think it over, to play it safe. But what if, instead of overanalyzing, you just said yes and figured it out along the way? The world belongs to those who dare to move before they have all the answers. Impulse isn't just about making big, life-changing decisions on the spot. It's also about embracing the small, everyday choices that add excitement and unpredictability to life. It's about dancing in the rain instead of waiting for it to stop, striking up a conversation with a stranger who might change your perspective, or booking a last-minute trip just because it feels right. It's about following your gut instinct before your brain has the chance to talk you out of it. Because let's be honest, your brain will always find a reason to delay, to doubt, to convince you that now isn't the time. But your heart, it knows when something is right for you. Listen to it. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history came from impulse. The artists, the inventors, the pioneers of the world, they didn't wait for certainty. They felt a spark and ran with it, sometimes failing, sometimes succeeding, but always moving forward. Acting on impulse doesn't mean being careless. It means trusting yourself enough to take action before doubt has the chance to paralyze you. It means living with a sense of boldness, knowing that life is too short to always play it safe. What if your next impulsive decision is the one that changes everything? So go ahead. Say yes before you have all the details figured out. Make the call, send the message, take the leap. Don't let hesitation rob you of the thrill of the unknown. Trust yourself. Move now. The best moments in life aren't waiting for you to be ready. They're waiting for you to act. In a world full of deception, whether from others or even ourselves, Stoic philosophy teaches us to seek truth with reason, clarity, and self-discipline. Instead of being swayed by manipulation or falsehoods, we must train our minds to question, observe, and remain steadfast in our pursuit of wisdom. Remember, the Stoics believed that true power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering ourselves. So, the next time you sense deception, pause, reflect, and respond with reason, not emotion. Stay mindful, stay strong, and most importantly, seek the truth. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.